According to Hindu mythology, human life is delineated by four cyclic yugas. They are Kreta Yuga, which lasted for 17 lakh 28,000 years, to be followed by Treta Yuga, which lasted for 12 lakhs and 96,000 years, to be followed by Dwapara Yuga, which lasted for 8 lakh and 64,000 years, and finally to be followed by Kali Yuga, in which we are said to be living in, and it is said to last for 4 lakh and 32,000 years. After Kali Yuga, the yugas would proceed in reverse order until Kreta Yuga is reached back, and these four yugas are said to go on in endless cycles. Kreta Yuga is also called Satya Yuga. One wonders why the first yuga alone is called by another name, while all other yugas are just referred by only one name each. The truth is, the number of yugas were 5 in number, and the last yuga is not Kali Yuga, but it is Satya Yuga, that is, the yuga of truth. That means the original yuga concept was screwed up by somebody, calling the first yuga by the name of the last yuga also. It is all the more obvious when we think of the time period of each yuga. They are laughingly long, which are beyond any scientific basis, each running into thousands of thousand years. Man evolved very recently only, contrary to the cumulative length of all yugas, which is about 9 million years. Hence, considering foul play, sage Yukteswar suggested that the cumulative length of the 4 yugas shall be about 24,000 years, which shall correspond to the precession of the equinox. The precession of the equinox is due to the circular motion of the sun along with his companion star around a hypothetical grand center called Vishnu Nabi. His theory is more acceptable considering the cumulative length of the yugas and its scientific basis. He theorized that the first yuga lasted for 9,600 years, and the second Treta Yuga lasted for 7,200 years, and the third Dwapara Yuga lasted for 4,800 years, and the last Kali Yuga lasted for 2,400 years, which sums up to 24,000 years, which correspond to the precession of the equinox. Due to the circular motion of the sun, the precession of the equinox happens cyclically, so does the yugas. When sun approaches Vishnu Nabi, dharma increases, and when the sun is receding from Vishnu Nabi, dharma decreases. Starting from Kreta Yuga, the virtues would be steadily dwindling until it reaches the lowest in Kali Yuga, and it would again resume steadily until it reaches the peak in Kreta Yuga. That was his understanding of the Yuga concept, and he had done a great deal of service to get to the ultimate truth. He has done my job easier in questioning the existing Yuga concept. However, his idea has many pitfalls. He said that the yugas are cyclic, which need not be necessarily true. Secondly, he also considers only 4 yugas as against the original 5 yuga. Thirdly, the existing yuga concept does not discuss the biological evolution of man. He, along with his predecessors, assumes that a man always existed, and he speaks only of the spiritual evolution or devolution of mankind as the yuga wheel spins. Fourthly, the yugas were named with reason, but he does not explain how the name of each yuga represents its attributes. This is a very important pitfall in his model. Hence, as the existing yugas are delineated by virtues alone, which changed with the time, it is very unscientific. The virtues are governed by environment rather than by time alone. Sage Yukteswar attributes the distant dependent and hence time dependent magnetic field with respect to Vishnu Nabi that shall affect people's mentality, which shall decide the dharma of an era. His model is only a hypothetical science proof, and it does not answer all the points I have raised. His model is just a smart model which does not offer wholesome explanation on the Yuga concept, though attempting to explain through science. Actually, the Yuga concept was put forth by Krishna, who was a Tamil. Hence, only a Tamil shall decode the intentionally disfigured Yuga concept. Thus, I am here to do it. I have already said that virtues are governed by environment rather than by time alone. Mere passing of time does not change one's virtues. But if passing of time results in change in environment, then it shall change one's virtues. If a positive environment exists, then it would reflect on the rich collective virtue of people. On the other hand, if negative environment exists, then it would reflect on the poor collective virtue of people. This is the missing link in the existing Yuga concept. How did time affect the environment? I have all along been saying that Tamil words are like time capsules which retain the history of mankind. The names of yugas would reveal how time shaped the environment, which subsequently shaped human behavior. Now, I am going to present the original yuga concept that Krishna prophesied. The yuga concept of Krishna actually describes the lifestyle in the five types of lands that man sequentially lived in the course of long history ever since his evolution as man. Ancient Tamils divided the lands into five types. Mountain and adjoining regions were called Kurinji. It was called after the Kurinji flower of the mountains. Forest and adjoining regions were called Mullai, and it was called after the jasmine flower of the forest called Mullai in Tamil. Agricultural lands were called Marudam after the Maruda flower of the region. The waterlands and the adjoining regions were called Neidal after the lotus-like Neidal flower of the region. The waterland shall mean very big lakes, rivers, and the seas. The desert lands were called Palai as the plants in the region shed milk like liquid when cut, and milk is called Pal in Tamil, and hence the desert-like lands were called Palai. Majority of mankind lived on the mountains initially, which was called Kurinji as described earlier. Even though he evolved on the ground, he chose to live on the mountains as there are plenty of caves to live on. It was also easier for him to watch over the land and to locate his prey and also to safeguard him from his predators. Hence, a vast majority of humans lived on the mountains soon after his evolution as man. You should have watched Amazing Primitive History of Mankind video in this channel. The time period called Yuga that man lived on the mountains is called Krita Yuga. The mountain is black in color. It was called Kari as Kari means charcoal and it is in black color. Kari deformed to Kri in the course of time and hence Kri means mountain in Tamil. Hence, the Yuga that man lived on the mountain is called Kri plus Tan, Kritan or Krita Yuga, meaning the Yuga that belonged to the mountain. During his stay on the mountains, he lived on fruits, vegetables, which were available in plenty and free. He also hunted animals for food, which were also available in plenty initially. The humanity was small in size and they lived as closely knitted community, and hence there were not big conflicts initially. They did not have to work for food as it was growing by itself and it was more than sufficient. Even hunting animals was not considered as work but as a time passing game. As the entire mountain became their collective property, everything belonged to everybody and they did not have to trade anything among themselves. Trading comes to effect when one community possesses something that the other community does not possess and vice versa, in which case they trade by exchanging their exclusive products. When the entire mountain is a common property, this situation does not arise and hence there was no trade. People were truthful as life was very simple and they did not have the modern gadgets of today. People were not divided by religion or caste as they did not come about yet. These were the features of the early stage of mountain life. Pariahs were the people who inhabited mountains initially. In fact, these are the features of the Krita Yuga that the Yuga masters are putting forth as in the following. There was love among people and they were truthful. They did not have to work and whatever they wished they got. There was no private property and there was no trade. There was no religion or caste to divide people. I have now established how the above mentioned features resulted in Krita Yuga, his period of life in Kurinji land, which is nothing but the initial phase of mountain life. We have said that mere passing of time does not change virtue, but only the environment changes the virtue. We now have to say how the environment changes with time. The passage of time facilitates advancement of knowledge, which brings new constraints on social structure of the existing society. To state an example, in Krita Yuga, after Shiva's time, a new class of people called Kauravas emerged out of the original Pariah community. These were the descendants of the people who chose to study under Shiva, and his Gurukula educated community was called Kauravar. As time progresses, the population of humans also increase, while the natural resources sink at the same rate. Hence, with passage of time, available resources are quite short of requirement, and this results in conflicts among community members and the quality of life degrades. The people are then forced to move to other green pastures and to other possibilities in life. Forest is the next destination which has not been tapped by humans yet. As man lived very long on the mountains, he also developed technologies to face the challenges of the future. One of the technologies that he developed was iron smelting, that gave him weapons to face forest life. There were natural homes freely available on the mountains in the form of caves, and that was not the common case in forest land. He had to build his own house in forest, and the iron tools helped him to do so. Shiva developed iron smelting technology on the mountains and presented it in Rigveda. Kindly watch earth-shaking facts on the four Veda published in this channel. Hence, passage of time enabled him to move on to the next era of life. Forest is on the ground and it is called Tarai in Tamil. Tarai is pronounced as Tra by the Brahmins. Tre plus Tan, Tretan, Treta. It means the Yuga that belonged to the life on the ground called Tarai. Hence, the Yuga that man lived next phase of life in the forest down on the ground was called Treta Yuga, and it features his life in Mullai land. Here, man learned to herd animals like cow and goat, etc. He consumed milk from the cows and the meat from the goats. He also used the self-growing fruits and vegetables from the forest. As society became very large, the system of marriage was instituted in Treta Yuga, which primarily guaranteed the safety of women. In the system, one woman should marry and live with one man alone to guarantee her safety in the large and complex society. This is established by the fact that Krishna contained 7 bulls to marry Nanajiti. It is in this era that he started to have private property in the name of cows and goats. Private property might have evolved in the later part of the Treta Yuga. Hence, the social life in this Yuga is inferior to the Kreta Yuga. Moreover, as the goat herding Konas and Yadava were different from cow herding Ayers and Oyers, they should have exchanged their exclusive products in the form of rudimentary trade. The Ayers would have exchanged their milk products with goat meat of the Konas. Many other professional clans like ironsmiths, potters and weavers, etc. would have emerged in this Yuga. Hence, this Yuga is inferior in simplicity of life compared to the Kreta Yuga, as people are divided by profession and also by private property, with the trade also emerging in this Yuga. However, these were indispensable as man grew in population and knowledge. The great war Ramayanam happened in this Yuga. As time progressed, these people developed more technologies. However, their numbers also increased, causing severe shortage of food. This forced them to learn to do agriculture, as they could make plows now to plow the land. They also could make boats which enabled them to do fishing in large scale. This pushed them to the next era where they were able to address food security with the technologies they developed. The primary food security comes from agriculture, as they could store food for longer times in the form of grains like paddy, maize, ragi, etc. They had to choose a land for agriculture, and that starts the next Yuga. The delta region is the most suited region for agriculture, as this land has rich and fertile soil deposited by the river. As the delta region is near the sea, and as agriculture does not require all the time, they could engage in fishing activity in the nearby seas in lean seasons of agriculture. Hence, in this era, people engaged both in agriculture and fishing activities. The sea was vast, and so was the agricultural land, and hence this era was called Dwapara Yuga. Dwa means two, and Para means vast, and hence Dwapara Yuga means the Yuga that man conquered 2 vast lands, the green lands and the blue seas. This Yuga features the period of life of man's simultaneous occupation of both Marudam land and Neither land described earlier. That is why there are common technical words in Tamil which are applied both to agriculture and fishing. Mr. Orissa Balu has listed hundreds of such common technical words used both in agriculture and in fishing with the same or similar meaning. For instance, the word Velaichal, meaning harvest, is used both in agriculture and in fishing to refer to the yield. This proves that Dwapara Yuga did exist in Tamil soil. The Pandyas are the people who represented Dwapara Yuga. Their goddess Madurai Meenakshi is the goddess who again proves the existence of Dwapara Yuga in Tamil land. Meenakshi is actually Pachayamma, the green goddess, who is originally the goddess of agriculture. However, as ancient Pandyas were also fishermen at the same time, they called their Pachayamma as Meenakshi to refer to their fishing occupation in addition to agriculture. Meenakshi means the rule of fish. Hence, the goddess Meenakshi represented both agriculture and fishing. This very goddess is the proof of the existence of Dwapara Yuga in Tamil land. This Yuga is characterized by hard work. Hard work is needed both in agriculture and in fishing. As this Yuga is characterized by hard work, fixed asset called land had to be a private property. This is because the hard-working individuals cannot be providing for lazy people all along. Having lived an easy life in Treta Yuga, many people would have shunned hard work, which is very much required in agriculture. Hence, Kudumbam called family was formerly well entrenched in this Yuga with the fixed asset land as private property. As agriculture became a complex process, many supporting professions emerged in this era. Even though art and culture was at its peak as a positive development, the society was actually fragmented by professional clans. This made life, though rich, very complicated. For instance, they had to marry within their own professional clan for convenience. Also, people had to work hard for food, they had to trade for commodities, and the simplicity of life of Kreta Yuga was completely lost in this Yuga. It is in this Yuga that Mahabharata war happened between the Pandyas of agricultural Marudam land and the Kauravas of mountain Kurinji land. We have seen that Kurinji Thinai characterized Krita Yuga, Mullai Thinai characterized Treta Yuga, Maruda and Neidal Thinai characterized Dwapara Yuga. Of the 5 types of lands, the 3 Yugas that we have discussed so far covered 4 types of lands. The remaining land is desert land. The 4th Yuga might represent this land. But there is no desert in Tamil Nadu. But the 4th Yuga is called Kali Yuga, and Kali is obviously the desert goddess according to Tamil literature. To understand the link between desert and Tamil Nadu, we have to study Mahabharata. The Yuga concept was proposed by Krishna. Krishna was one of the 2 main characters of Mahabharata. The other character was Saguni. The Mahabharata is said to have happened in Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga is said to have commenced immediately after the death of Krishna. That means the Yuga concept should have been proposed by Krishna himself. Only in Mahabharata that we encounter Yuga concept first, and also Krishna himself utters the word Yuga in Bhagavad Gita. The point to understand now is why the next Yuga had to be called after Kali. Kali is the goddess of war and goddess of destruction. Krishna should have had a reason to call the next Yuga after Kali. The Mahabharata war was initiated by a Kaurava community of the mountain region of Cheranadu. The gods of the mountain region were Shiva and Kali. Shiva was a god of both creation and destruction, but Kali is the god of destruction only. As the war was waged by the mountain people, Krishna should have declared the commencement of Kali Yuga on the day of the commencement of the war itself. But he did not do so, and that means Kali Yuga was not named after the Kauravas, and the Kauravas were decimated in the war, and they were no longer a force to reckon with. Hence, Kali should have referred to some other land. The only other land that Kali is associated with is the desert land. That means, could the desert land have contributed to trouble in Tamil land, which led to the war between Kaurava and Pandya? A good possibility indeed. We know that Sakuni was instrumental in the war between Kaurava and Pandya. According to Mahabharata, Sakuni is said to have come from another country. Why not he came from a desert land? That's a good possibility. I do not agree that he came from Afghanistan, which is the country pointed to by Mahabharata, and you would know why when I discuss further on Mahabharata in later videos. But he could have come from Sumeria or Anatolia of those times. There are many reasons for my conclusion. One important fact is the failed attempt to kill Pandyas by setting fire to the guest house they were made to stay, which was made of lac called Arakku in Tamil, exclusively for this purpose. The guest house at Varnavadam was exclusively built by Duryodhana under the advice of Sakuni by using lac as building material. But lac, called as Arakku in Tamil, is not a product of South India. It is a product of North India, and there is no record to prove that it was produced in India 5000 years ago. But we have proof to show that we did trade for amber, naturally available on the shores of Baltic seas, which was very cheap in those times. It is the resin exuded from the pine trees millions of years ago and seasoned by the sea environment. Amber is a product very similar to but superior to lac. Hence, the palace was built of amber, called also as jantar, and not of lac. Amber was primarily used as decorative material 5000 years ago, apart from other uses. It was used to make jewelry and to decorate houses. The palace shown is in Prussia, which is made of amber and gold. These two commodities were extensively traded by Tamils 5000 years ago. Saguni made an extraordinary palace at Varanavadam out of amber to show to the world how much they respected Pandavas, while at the same time using the fact that amber catches fire easily and burns quickly to smartly kill Pandavas. This proves that there was trade between Slavs and Tamils at the time of Mahabharata, that is 5000 years ago. This fact is confirmed by Dr. Hromnik, who says that there was amber trade between Tamils and Slavs even 5000 years ago. That means Sagni should have been one of the traders who came to Malainadu of Kerala via Musuri port of ancient Tamil land. The traders should have been of many races, but we know that Jewish people got into trade and banking long ago. The Jewish community has one unmistakable trait. They do harm to the people whom they are living with. Francis Bacon had definitely stated it 400 years ago through his novel The New Atlantis. This trait originates from the long-held idea that they are the chosen people of the God. With the superiority well entrenched in their mind, they envy any society who is richer and prosperous than the Jewish community. Obviously, they do all the things that shall weaken or destroy such communities. During Mahabharata, Tamil land was the center of the world and rich in every aspect of life, namely fine arts, literature, science and technology, philosophy, religion, etc. Tamil land did trade with the east and west and was a trade hub of that era and obviously very rich in those times. During Mahabharata times, agriculture was fast spreading in South Tamil Nadu region of today. There were already 5 Pandya kingdoms based on agriculture. Owing to agriculture and trade, the Pandyas were very rich. The Ayers, that is the cow herders, were also getting into agriculture as they had bulls with them, and hence there was cooperation between the two. But mountain Kauravas, the conservative people who loved nature, opposed agriculture as it destroyed forests. The Yadavas were also with the Kauravas as they were losing pasturing lands for their goats when the forest was converted into agricultural land. Hence, Kauravas and Yadavas aligned in one side and Pandyas were on the opposing side with the tacit support from Ayers represented by Krishna. Saguni, who visited Tamil land for trade, learns of this friction and guides Kauravas into war so that the rich Pandyas could be destroyed. Krishna was very much aware of this scenario. He knew the intentions of Saguni. He knew that Saguni belonged to Jewish race and they worshipped Kali. A point related to Kali is worth mentioning here. Tamils worshipped 7 goddesses called Saptamada, as shown in the figure, conceptualized by Murugan Siddha 10,000 years ago. Even though Tamils worshipped Kali also, it mattered most only in war times. Tamils worshipped Saraswati as the goddess of wisdom. They worshipped Lakshmi as the household deity and Pachema as the goddess of agriculture. According to Tamils, Kali is the goddess of war and also of ignorance, as violence springs out of ignorance. As Noah left Tamil land during deluge and before the emergence of Saptakani worship, the Jews, the descendants of Noah, got stuck only with Kali, the goddess of Tamils, before deluge. Returning back, Krishna worked hard to outwit Saguni so that he did not succeed in his plans. Krishna could not prevent the war, but ensured that Saguni's plans did not succeed. Krishna was a great intellectual and smart politician who saved Tamil land from complete destruction. But he was worried about the future of Tamil land as it had to face many more Sagunis in the course of time. He feared the future of Tamil land after his times and hence proposed commencement of Kali Yuga after his death. But he was sure that Kali Yuga also would come to an end and people would abhor destruction and grow mature to pave for a world connected by love and sharing of resources, guaranteeing prosperous life for all races. Kali Yuga arose out of ignorance not only of the Jewish community but also of the world of people. The advent of internet has changed the situation. Truth is spreading all over the world, replacing ignorance with knowledge and truth. Truth is steering the world today and falsehood has taken the back seat. The world is slowly realizing that they are one people after all. Yes, the world has entered Satyuga when Mayan calendar ended in 2012. That's when the broadband emerged in a big way. I refer to Mayan calendar in more than one way. The duration of the Mayan calendar, which ended in 2012, was 5125 years, and hence it was initiated at about 3100 BC. Mahabharata also ended at about the same time, and Kali Yuga is said to have started subsequently by about 3100 BC. This proves that Tamils and Mayans were intimately connected at the time. Kindly watch my video Mayan Religion and its Tamil Connection. When Krishna declared commencement of the new Yuga, the Kali Yuga, the Mayans who received this information freshly computed their Yuga calendar, which lasted for 5125 years, ending in 2012 AD. The Mayans call their present Yuga, which started at the end of the Mayan calendar, as sixth sun and call it a golden period. They also call the fifth sun, which ended on 2012, as destructive Yuga. Hence, it is definitely evident that Satyuga has arrived and we are in the transition period. I predict a peaceful era of understanding and cooperation among nations of the world, preventing wars and destruction. The realization regarding the existence of Illuminati would accelerate this process. Now, coming back to Kali Yuga, you might think that I am reading too much into the Arakku Maligai of Mahabharata and connected to the Jews, and hence calling the Yuga after Kali, their goddess. But I have more info on this matter to link Jews with Mahabharata. In all the movies and serials made in every part of India, they describe Saguni in the same and peculiar way. He comes always in black dress and a black headgear. While many other characters come in dresses of different hues, Saguni is always seen wearing black dress. It is so as he is so described in the scriptures of Mahabharata. We know that Jews wear black dress and black hat and sport a beard until this day, and we see exactly the same trend in their dress style 5000 years ago. That's a definite proof to establish Saguni as a Jew. To doubly prove that he is a Jew, he is depicted as a mastermind of the massacre, very cunning and diabolic in his attitude, a negative character. Had he been described a positive character in Mahabharata, then it might have been difficult to come to any definite conclusion on him. Hence, the points that helped me to identify Saguni as a Jew are the following. 1. According to Mahabharata, Saguni came from some other country. 2. Amber is not an Indian product and it should have come via Sumeria or Ethiopia, thus proving trade in the times of Mahabharata. 3. Jews had always been traders and they could have come to Tamil Land for trade. 4. Saguni was instrumental in building Amber Palace, that is Arakku Maligai, to kill Pandyas through deceit. 5. Cunning and deceit are the ways of Jews and they are the Illuminati. 6. The Jews are Kali worshippers and hence wear black dress, which is unmistakably recorded in Mahabharata through the constant black dress of Saguni. 7. The devout Jews sport a beard and Saguni is also sporting a beard, an additional proof indeed. 8. The Illuminati is known to destroy people by making them addicted to gambling, and even the stock market is nothing but gambling system created by Jewish corporations. And we all know that Rothschild, the Jew, made enormous money by shrewdly and illegally manipulating London stock market. In Mahabharata, gambling is used to destroy the opponents, and none other than Saguni did it, a definite Jewish signature. In this video, I have established that the Yuga concept put forth by Krishna actually depicted history of Tamils through the 5 types of lands they lived in sequentially. We also get one basic truth, that when we advance in knowledge frontier, we should equally advance in virtues and spirituality. If the advancement of knowledge is not complemented by advancement in virtues and spirituality, then we would face destruction. It is a simple and common truth. I believe that the world would appreciate these facts and conduct accordingly. I predict that the explosion of knowledge through internet would make humanity mature, and hence Satyuga would proceed, uniting people of all nations. And it should definitely happen. Otherwise, the 5 yugas would repeat as suggested by sage Yukteswar, or it might even take us straight to Krita Yuga back to start all over again if nuclear conflict ensues. It's a stern warning to humanity.